Okay, I believe we'll get started. So once again, good evening. I'd like to call this public meeting to order, or I should say this special council meeting to order. We have regrets from Mayor Matheson, Councillor Seven, and our CAO, Ms. Thompson. Joining me in the chamber is the clerk, Ms. Defoe, and Deputy Clerk, Chris Bantock. And I will turn the meeting over to the clerk.
So through you, Deputy Mayor Ritzma, item 2 is declarations of pecuniary interest. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest to be stated at this meeting?
Seeing none.
Item 3 is adjournment to a public meeting under the Planning Act for Planning Report Zone Change Application Z05-21 for 16 Blake Street. And there is a motion that the special council meeting adjourn to a public meeting under the Planning Act to hear from members of the public with respect to zone change application Z05-21 for 16 Blake Street and to reconvene following the public meeting.
A mover for that, Councillor Vasilakos will move, and second by Councillor Burbach. All in favor? And that's unanimous. So I'll call this public meeting to order. The purpose of this meeting is to give council and the public an opportunity to hear all interested persons with respect to zoning bylaw amendment application Z05-21. The application affects the property with the municipal address of 16 Blake Street in the city of Stratford. The order of procedure for this meeting will be as follows. Staff will present the application. The applicant or their agent will then make a presentation. Council may ask questions for the purpose of clarifying the application, but are cautioned not to make comments nor to take a position on this application at this public meeting. Registered delegations will be asked for their presentations, comments, and questions. Questions and comments from the Q&A will be read in by our deputy clerk. The public is advised that if a person has not provided council with oral submissions at a public meeting or written submissions before a bylaw is adopted or a decision is made, the local planning appeal tribunal has the power to dismiss an appeal. The public is also advised that the comments expressed and written materials presented are a matter of public record for full disclosure. Are there any questions as to the order of this procedure? We will now proceed with the meeting, and we will hear from the staff with respect to the application. And I believe Ms. Niklocheva is on the line. Is that correct?
Yes, hello, through your worship. Good evening, everybody. I just want to make sure that everybody can see the presentation.
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. So this presentation will outline zoning bylaw amendment application Z05-21 for 16 Blake Street that was submitted by Jordan Hale of Hale Housing, Inc. The property is zone R21 and is currently used as a single detached dwelling. The applicant has requested to change the zoning to an R3 zone to permit a triplex. The property is located on the east side of Blake Street between Dufferin Street and Crook Street and has an area of 737.6 meters squared. The concept plan of the triplex is shown along with the elevations of the dwelling, a proposed addition, and the proposed attached garage. The subject property is designated as a residential area in the official plan and permits low to medium density residential uses such as single detached, semi-detached, triplex dwellings, and townhouses. The current zoning permits a single detached and converted dwellings as well as boarding house dwellings. The application was circulated to agencies on May 10th, 2021. And the following comments have been received. Building requires the same comments from the formal consultation form FC03-21 and for zone change approval to be provided with building permit applications. Engineering requires a condition assessment of the existing sanitary lateral along with the grading and drainage plan and estimates and deposits for widening the driveway and possibly servicing the lot. The application was also circulated to 79 adjacent property owners on May 10th and was published in the town crier on May 29th, 2021. Comments were received and both expressed opposition to the application, raising concerns of a possible decrease in property values and privacy, removing mature trees, and inadequate sewage. The next steps for this application will be to receive feedback to obtain all circulation comments, for staff to prepare the recommendation report, and to present this report to the Planning and Heritage Committee. Following the recommendation report, council decides on the application. I'd be pleased to take any questions if you may have any at this time.
Thank you. Any questions from Councillor? Councillor Ingram.
Thank you. I have a couple. I noticed in the report that it mentioned the uses of all of the adjacent properties, the immediately adjacent properties. I'm just wondering if you happen to have an idea of whether there are other triplexes in the area.
Through your worship, yes, there are. There are a couple of site-specific zone properties which do permit triplex in the area.
Thank you. And this proposal would be subject to a tree replacement plan. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And then my last question is perhaps something that the Director of Infrastructure might have to answer, but I'm wondering if the issues with servicing and the sanitary services specifically are related to capacity in the sewer line, or is it more just the lateral?
Mr. Krinkala?
Yeah, through the chair. I reviewed the concerns earlier this afternoon, and I didn't see any indication of the sewer being exceeding capacity. It is an older clay tile sewer, which is subject to tree roots. Most likely would occur at the lateral side.
Thank you.
Anything else, Councillor Ingram?
That's everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else from council? Seeing none. We'll now move to the applicant presentation. Mr. Hale from Hale Housing, I believe, will present, and I'll turn it to the clerk to see if Mr. Hale is available.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, Mr. Hale is on the line. Mr. Hale, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Perfect. Go ahead.
Thanks for your time today, councillors. Councillor Ingram, I'd just like to state that we do have the neighboring property that's a fourplex, and the property directly across the street, I believe, is 4 or 5 units as well. And then aside from that, the reason we went to apply for a triplex rather than a fourplex was just to make sure that we had enough room on the property for parking, and just to ensure that the main floor unit that we are creating, we could also create to be as accessible as possible, if not fully accessible. And as we know that the city of Stratford does have a housing crisis, so we just figured the increased density would be beneficial to the area. And with having the 3 units rather than the additional a 4th one, or applying for a 4th one, and having that extra parking space, being able to pull in and fully park and then pull out forward with your headlights going out towards the road would just avoid any safety concerns with vehicles having tight quarters on the property parking, and also pulling out or backing out unsafely. And we just also figured it would avoid some light pollution with headlights going towards neighboring backyards in the evenings. Let's see what other points. Yeah, so we do have other rental properties in the area, and we are trying to do this as most as we can with creating density and appealing to a attainable housing, because we know that is the larger market of the needs for Stratford. So that's something else that we are looking to create, rather than doing a larger 3-bedroom or something that would probably have a higher rent. We're looking at doing 2-bedroom, 1 bathrooms And we're hoping that'll keep rent more attainable for the market that is out there. That's everything I had to say today. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. Any questions from council? Seeing none, then we're going to move along to presentations. Madam Clerk, were there any presentations, comments, or questions or delegations?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, there were not.
Thank you. Then we're moving down. Mr. Bantock, our Deputy Clerk, were there any items in the Q&A?
Through you, Deputy Mayor Ritzma, there are no comments in the Q&A at this time.
Okay, I'll wait a moment just in case somebody wants to add anything at this time. All right, then we're going to move along. And any closing comments, Mr. Hale, with regards to the project or the presentation? Do we still have them on the line? Thank you.
No, I don't have any other closing comments other than I would just like you guys to consider the increased density to help our housing crisis. And yeah. Oh, and the other item was just the tree plan. We are considering that as well. I think there was only one mature tree that happened to be kind of in the middle of the development that we would have to remove if it was approved. And so we are taking that into consideration with the landscaping plan as well.
Thank you, Mr. Hale. So City Council intends to consider this application at a future Planning and Heritage Committee meeting where members of council will have an opportunity for full discussion of the application after reviewing comments received from the public at this time. If anyone would like to receive further notice of this application, please email clerks@stratford.ca. A video of this meeting will be posted to the city's website. This public meeting is adjourned. Madam Clerk.
Through you, Deputy Mayor Ritzma, returning to your agenda. Item 4 is reading of the bylaws, and item 4.1 is the confirmatory bylaw, which requires first and second reading and then third and final reading.
A mover for the to be read first and second, Councillor Vasilakos, thank you, and Councillor Ingram. All in favor? And that's unanimous. And a mover and a seconder for third, for it to be read the third and final pass. Councillor Clifford and Councillor Gaffney. All in favor? And that's unanimous. And a motion to adjourn. Councillor Burbach and Councillor Hendricks. All in favor? Thank you very much, and we're adjourned. Good night, everyone.